Raveen, with your extensive experience with water care and
Yep.
such organizations like now recently AT, climate change is now a very important topic for discussion, and the effects of climate change on our environment, most recently the massive flooding,
Yeah.
um, so on and so forth. So what are your views on climate change and how is it affecting our environment?
Very good question. Now, being someone from the water industry, so water is the currency for climate change.
Right.
Climate change manifests itself through water.
Mm-hmm.
More rain, less rain, sea level rise, flooding, droughts. So it has been a subject of interest when I was at Watercare,
Yeah.
but I think it's a subject of interest for all of us because it's going to impact us all, and we don't really know how.
Or we don't have control of it either.
And we definitely don't have. We can't fight nature.
No.
And we don't know how rapid it's going to be. What we do know is that it's a major challenge, and it's going to create challenges from an infrastructure point of view. And as you just mentioned, we've got all this flooding, we've got communities that are currently located, homes and businesses and infrastructure in areas that are going to be subject to inundation more often, more frequently, probably subject to sea level rise in the future. Big decisions as to what should we do. Should we retreat or should we build infrastructure to cope with rising sea level or whatever? And if we retreat, who pays?
Yeah.
You know, is it a private good, so private individuals need to pay for it all?
Yeah.
Or is it a local council? Is it central government? Or is it a combination of private individuals, councils, government? Is there a role for insurance? I don't have the answer, but I think there's a big question, and that question is being posed right now because of what's happened and continues to happen this year. There's been so much rain this year that it's going to challenge a lot of councils and government. And we've got infrastructure that is getting damaged and hammered.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about resilience.
Yeah, right.
A lot of talk about resilience. And this is an interesting subject for me
Mm-hmm.
because when we had the drought
Mm-hmm.
in 2020 and 2021, there was all this talk about resilience. And it's like, well, most people don't know what it means, especially from an infrastructure point of view. Personally, I'm a big fan of the notion that infrastructure will only provide a certain degree of resilience because we are dealing with nature.
Yeah. and water flows wherever it wants to. So,
Exactly. And we cannot control it.
I mean,
And-
to a certain degree we can, but
No, yeah, to a certain degree.
yeah.
But you know that, okay, if you say, okay, we're going to build culverts
Yeah.
for 1 in 10 years
Yeah.
storms, and then suddenly they get washed away, and we say, oh, well, the frequency is going to be more often, and what is a 1 in 10 year could be more like a 1 in 50 year, 1 in 100 year storm,
Yeah.
which means the probability of it happening increases.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing I found watching the news. I think so many people are confused. They think a 1 in 100 year storm means it will only happen every 100 years.
Not necessarily.
Well, that's not what it means.
Yeah.
It means that there's a chance of it happening 1 in 100, which is 1%,
Yeah.
right? But it could happen today, and it could happen next week, and it could happen again next year, you know.
Yeah, we've had 2 cyclones this year. So it's
Exactly.
crazy.
So I think, you know, this concept that I bought the house and
Yeah.
I thought it was only going to happen in 100 years' time. Well, no, I'm sorry. It could happen tomorrow, and did happen. Okay. But the resilience that I think we need to focus on is human resilience,
Okay.
community resilience. And if you look at how we coped, it's because of the community resilience. The resilience, infrastructure resilience, you can only provide so much. But community resilience is something we need to work on. So,
What do you mean by community resilience?
so community resilience is individual resilience.
Yeah.
So when shit happens,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, earthquakes, storms, droughts, how do I cope individually with this uncertainty, right? And then how do I cope as a family, and how do I cope as a neighborhood? And when everything is destroyed, flooded, what do we do? Who responds? And you can see great community resilience in Hawke's Bay. You can see them coming through iwi, through Maori groups. And you saw that in White Island when we had the White Island explosion, the local iwi, how they got involved.
But that's such a New Zealand thing, though, isn't it?
It is a New Zealand thing, but I think it's
It's one of the reasons I stayed here, by the way.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, I stayed back. It's for the people.
Exactly.
I didn't stay back because I could make $1 million here. I stayed back because I found that, in general, New Zealanders are pretty chill, and it matters to them that you take care of one another.
And we will have to take care of one another even more because of this. And the one another is beyond New Zealand now. So we have to look after our Pacific Island neighbors, right? Because they're going to be affected. And we are their closest. I mean, I'm from Fiji. I'm a Pacific Islander, right?
Yeah.
So climate change has got infrastructure challenges.
Yep.
It's got mental well-being challenges.
100%.
Because we lose loved ones, we lose our belongings, we lose our livelihoods, we lose our legacies, people's photographs, whatever it may be. They get washed away and suddenly it's gone. Right? Memories are only left. So that's why you need the resilience. So we need to have the resilience of coping when this happens. And how quickly and this is the big issue, I think, if you talk to the people who've been adversely affected, the biggest issue is this uncertainty. Why is it taking so long? They can understand why it takes so long to rebuild a road or a bridge. But why does it take so long to understand that my life has been destroyed, our livelihood has been destroyed, and I need help? And how quickly are we going to find? So because it's happened for almost the first time, everyone is struggling to answer the question, central government, local government. But I'm hoping that we will have some responses that can be standardized and used and refined and improved going forward.
But if anything, COVID should have trained us to pull as a community together, work towards a common goal, shouldn't it?
No, I think, we'll have different views. My own view is COVID isolated us.
Fair. I agree with that. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I'll give you the example. At Watercare, we were just going through this phase of doing things in teams, having scrums, and, they have this concept where you bring all the brains together, solve problems quickly, right? And then suddenly COVID happened, and it was like, no, everyone go home and work from home and work in teams, which is it's an oxymoron, You're working on Teams, which is Microsoft Teams, but individually, well, that's not a team, Firstly, you don't get behaviors and the cultural aspects, I can't look you in the eye, I can't see your body language and all of that. So suddenly we were working, and most people start doing other things, They can put the camera off and, I don't know, do something else while they're in a team meeting and play games or whatever. So I think, COVID for me isolated people rather than brought them together. It did not bring people together. These climatic conditions we are having, this is bringing people together. This is bringing people in different ways. Communities that are next to each other who are being adversely affected, but communities that haven't been affected, who are watching others who have been adversely affected, are also saying, well, this is not good.
What can we do to support?
What can we do to support it, right? Because this is not an individual problem. This is where, how governments respond, how councils respond, sends a signal to the rest of the community as to what their level of trust and confidence in their council and their government is.